this is Dominic, wedding DJ.
And this is Serena, wedding planner.
And together we are the Wedding Duo. We are here to talk all things weddings.
Planning a wedding can be stressful, but we are here to help.
So before you say, that's it, we're going to Vegas, don't go to Vegas.
Let's have some fun.
Join us as we answer your wedding questions and help navigate planning one of the biggest days of your life with the Wedding Duo. Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. We're back. I'm Dominic.
And I'm Serena, and we are super excited to be back. We had to take a little week off because we got a little busy, but we're back and we're ready to talk weddings.
Do we still have to introduce ourselves at this point? It's like, I don't know if I think this is number 18, and they're like, yeah, we know who you are. We just listened to the last episode, maybe. But thank you if you are still following along. We really enjoy doing it, and we hope it's helpful.
We do. I'm going to start this episode off by saying, if you are watching it on YouTube, I want you to stop and go and listen to it as a podcast, because I'm not wearing as much makeup and I'm just like not ready. So I'm going to ask that you just listen rather than watch.
So luckily I've got enough on for both of us.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad you planned accordingly.
Trying to bring out the eyes a little bit. It's not true.
I'm looking a little sleepy.
True. I'm not. Me? Yeah. Well, yeah. Because we had a couple weeks off. I had a couple weeks off during August. We gave those events to our team. But man, it's back. We hit September, and I'm like, great.
Here we go.
Two weddings last weekend, and then we started soccer with my boys too. So, blah.
Yeah, life in the wedding world is fantastic in a lot of ways, but it's very weekend heavy, right? So, being a family of small children, they have activities and all that stuff. It's a juggling act for sure. Today, we're going to talk about something that is been a point of conversation between you and I, and now we kind of want to bring it out into our listeners.
Oh, it is a bear that you will wrestle at some point during your wedding planning, and that is, you say it. I just can't say it.
Dealing with the pressure from social media.
Social media, dun, dun, dun.
Now, here we are, and we got our start on TikTok, so it's almost like...
We didn't get our start, but that's like...
No, we started the Wedding Duo from TikTok.
Wedding Duo, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
I think about our start. I go, what?
No.
We were doing it... I was DJing when I had CDs still. No, I didn't say it. Cut that from the script. Put that on that's going to be on the editing floor. Yes, wasn't that long ago.
Oh, it was long ago.
It was not.
Anyways, so I'm just saying that we've gotten a lot from social media, but there's a flip side to it. And we're going to kind of talk about both, right? Because there's a lot of good things that come from getting ideas from vendors and other couples that are getting married. But there's this other side of it that I think can be rather challenging for brides especially, and
upsetting.
We want to talk about
confusing. That's another good word. It can be very confusing because there may be something, and the main thing is there may be something you have your heart set on as you think it's such a great idea, and then you see something on social media and people get opinionated is a nice way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
You can say they're mean, but they don't say it as an opinion. They say it as, you're wrong if you want to do that. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, we end every podcast and we say it all the time. It is such a personal day. One person will tell you you're crazy. The next person will say, oh, I love it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so who's the only opinion that matters is you and your significant other. Right. I mean,
yes. And that is something to continue to keep in mind throughout the planning process. And it's great to go on TikTok, on Pinterest, on Instagram and get ideas, right?
Absolutely.
But what I think tends to happen, like he mentioned, is that people put out there in the world their opinions as if they are fact, as if this is going to either make or break your wedding. And that is just not true.
It's like anything. Pick your thing. Food, music, design, outfits, shoes. One person loves them. The next person thinks, oh, that's so stupid. Then you're like, well, don't be mean. Don't wear those shoes. Don't pick that food. Don't go to that restaurant. Don't listen to that song, whatever it is. But the wedding day is, like I said, it's so personal. It's all about you and your significant other. And it should just ooze out of everything, like your preferences and your personality and your interests.
And this can kind of go a bit bigger, and I won't get too much into that, but I think social media as a whole has created this kind of society where we're really like hard on other people that we don't even know.
Yeah, that's just right?
And so as a bride to be, as a couple getting married that's engaged, there's already a lot of pressure on you as a young person sometimes to create this event that is like maybe over the top or that no one has seen before. And for a lot of people, that can be overwhelming. And I think that social media doesn't help in that sense.
Well, even just within your family, you may have your cousin, just rich cousin who Daddy Warbucks wrote the check for everything and anything. And then here you come 6 months later and you're like, me and the two of us are paying for this whole thing. We don't have that budget, but a lot of the same people that went to her wedding are coming to your wedding. And that can be hard too. But I mean, I think that's always the best time to go a completely different direction. Like just do, you can still do your thing, of course, but I don't know. It's like, it's really hard in the families to kind of keep up with your cousin, sister, whatever it is. And the budget is always a massive factor, right?
It's the main factor, right? Because let's face it, if you had all the money in the world, of course you could go on TikTok and see the latest crazy trends and do that for yourself. But that is not feasible.
Let's ride in on elephants.
You could, if you, I guess. Like,
I don't know. That seems like a lot. If somebody brought that to me, I'd be like, "Oh, listen, no, please, let's not do elephants."
Right? Yeah.
Just the cleanup, I think, would be more than.
On the flip side of that too, there's all this like what's popular, what's trending. A lot of times this comes up with us in like the music, right? What songs should we use? Oh, that's cringe to do line dances at a wedding, or oh, you have to do the instrumental cover of whatever song for the ceremony. So that comes up for us a lot too, where, followers will have an opinion about a song. But just like he mentioned, food, whatever it is in your life, music is very personal, right?
Oh, for sure.
Your taste in music and what you listen to and what like moves you is going to be different from the next person. So it's almost impossible to come out and say like, you should never use that song, or why would you ever do this?
For example,
go for it.
I think Alison Krauss sings like an angel. She's got the most wonderful, beautiful voice. And I have probably everything she's ever made in my playlist, my personal playlist. And she'll come out, I'll be sitting there doing a puzzle or doing whatever I'm doing. And you'll come in the room and be like, she's all squeaky and whiny. I'm like, oh, wow. Blasphemy. How dare you say such things about Alison? And I talk to I look into the speakers and go, don't listen to her, Alison. Don't. So there you go.
I will tell Alison.
Oh, you watch. The people out there are going to come after you now. They're like, no, she's wonderful. But then again, the next person will be like, no, she's squeaky, right? I don't.
Yeah. So
anyway,
that is
there you go. That's
within
our own household. So.
Right. And so I guess the main, point of all this is that when you're out there and you're planning your wedding, you're going to want to, maybe take everyone's opinions, everyone's, suggestions really with a grain of salt and put it through your own filter, right? Does it make sense for you budget wise? Does it make sense for you as far as your vision is concerned?
The way I always describe it to people is that here's the parameters, right? You're trying to navigate between your budget and your vision. And they're both are very, the vision could be endless, but the budget is is a pretty solid thing. Yeah. And I have a TikTok I've been working on my head where I say things you never hear during the wedding planning. Oh, we're way under budget.
Right.
Yeah. That comment never comes up, right? Because if you are just getting into it, prepare yourself because it's expensive. Everything is expensive. I always want to say, I want to apologize on behalf of my industry because everything is really expensive. But if you hire professionals, in any industry, they're going to be, usually you get what you pay for, right? So, there's gonna be a price tag, but that's the goal is you want to try to get as close as you can to your vision without paying your wedding off 50 years from now.
Exactly. And kind of let's talk a little bit about too, like the flip side of it, like what good things can come from social media, right? And there are a lot of great things that have come out in the wedding world from social media. I always think about, however many years ago that it was, when people started to realize doing that private last dance was really special and a really great way to end the night. And it spread like wildfire. And now we see it done at probably 80% of the
more than that.
weddings.
I'd say probably 95. Yeah.
Yeah. And that I think really all came out of, social media and people seeing how clever and how wonderful it was for couples.
Well, the trends, like I said, you tread lightly with the trends because they will come and go. And if you're planning your wedding 2 years from now, or even 18 months, whatever's trending now may not be by then. And you don't want to go all in on something. And then you're just like, oh man, this died 6 months ago. And I'm still invested in it. I had paid money on it or whatever. Talk to your mom about the 80s when just talk about the wedding dresses, the big puffy shoulders and the butt bow. And they probably look back at
the back are popular again. So,
but I mean, I'm sure they look back at some of their wedding pictures and go, what is my hair? Why is my hair that tall?
Okay.
Why are my shoulder pads that big?
But you're not going to be able to avoid that, right? Like,
no,
if you're getting married in a certain era, you are going to have trends that you think look good because that's what everybody's doing.
But I will argue that by saying there are timeless things, whether it's the look of the dress or the flowers or whatever. There are things that are just timeless that are, you look at pictures from the 50s and they did it then. And it's just this elegant, cool thing. So, but again, it's just your preference. You might look at that thing and be like, that looks old. That's stupid. And you're like, see, you're part of the problem. But yeah, so if it's something that's like really trendy, is brand new, make sure it's going to be around in 18 months when your day finally comes, right?
And the other thing about that too is bounce it off your vendors who are there and do weddings, and make sure that this idea works logistically for a wedding. There are reasons we tend to do things the same way at weddings, right? As far as maybe like the timeline's concerned, or, why we do things in certain order. It's because it works for a group of people. And it's very efficient and it's helpful.
Yeah.
And
the flow, and the word I use is clunky. You just don't want it to be clunky where it just starts to trying to put that square peg in the round hole, right?
Yeah. So it's always helpful, for example, if you see a trend about the catering or like when to eat or something like that, right? Go and talk to your caterer or your wedding planner who's going to be helping you put this thing together, and bounce that idea off them and say, like, I'm thinking about doing this. I saw it online. How is this going to affect the event? And they might say, oh, we can make this work if we do this, A, B, whatever. Or, you're really going to want to think about, if you do this, it's going to cause this and this and this. They'll help you. They should help you walk through what that means for your event specifically.
One thing I don't like to ask it because I don't want to bring up a sour point with people, but if you have somebody in your life that has gotten married within the last couple of years, ask them what they would have done differently, because they will tell you there's always the thing like, oh, I wish I would have had more dancing time. I didn't get a chance to eat. I got really drunk. Whatever it was they do that they go, I wish I would have done that differently.
Yes.
And that might be something you go, oh, because you could talk to 50 people and 49 of them might be like, you're like, no, none of that pertains. But they'll get one little nugget of knowledge. You'll be like, ooh, that's something I'm going to watch for. I'm not something I'm going to tell my vendors, don't let that happen or whatever. But, and we're going to have a former couple of ours on. I'm excited to have that. And then just talk through some of that stuff.
Yeah, because the perspective is completely different before the event than after the event, right? I mean, there's just no,
hindsight, right?
Yeah, it the ability to look at the wedding coming up and foresee these issues is just non-existent, right? Because as you go through it, things change. So that's a great suggestion in that sense that, you can get some help there.
Oh, for sure.
On perspective.
And like she said, talk to your vendors. If you have a professional in whatever category, even if you just have one, we hired a professional photographer, but my cousins are doing the food. Uncle Charlie's got an uncle. He got an uncle with an iPad, or doing the music or whatever. But we kind of breezed over. But the thing I want to talk about, like the Pinterest thing, right? That is a rabbit hole that you will go down. That will just be a black hole that will suck up all your life. When you go into Pinterest and you find something you want to do, look at your budget again. Look how much it's going to cost, and look at how long it's going to do for like one. Because we did a TikTok recently and I thought it was pretty clever, where I said, don't let your DIY become DIY. Why? And you get into this project and you're like, oh my God, because oh, it's the cutest thing ever. I'm like, yeah, but it's going to take you 6 months to get all those put together or whatever. If you have 50 people at your wedding and you have a bunch of girlfriends that are going to help you.
Yeah,
that's great. You can make a whole
totally doable
weekend out of it. It's fun. But don't get halfway in and be like, oh, this is terrible. I've wasted all my money and I'm done. I'm done. I'm over it. See? Social media. It can be powerful.
Social media can be powerful. There's things that you'll see too, I think, on social media, any of the platforms that are kind of, glazed in this, like they're easy to do. They're, they look
misleading maybe.
Yes, that's the word. Perfect. Because you really want to make sure that you know what you're getting into. Like he mentioned, the time it takes and the expense that you're looking at. The other thing is there's a lot of like, this is what I would do and this is how to do it like cheaper, but you're going to sacrifice something when you look at something like that, and there are tons of tips and tricks out there that are helpful to have you save money, but just be careful, I think is the biggest thing on like what you're looking at and the time and the money that
just think through it. Like think through all the little pieces. Cause sometimes you're like, oh, that looks simple enough. And you're like, but is it? But is it? So here's another thing that comes up a lot on, it usually is a TikTok thing where somebody will have a song and they'll send it to me, or I just have a song. Lord knows, I have tons of songs that I love. And I always sometimes want to say, here's a great idea. Let me share this with my TikTok followers, our TikTok followers, where I kind of dissect a song and say, okay, well, you can open the doors right here and you can come down the aisle at this point, but then pause because these lyrics right here are really good. And that's, if you're walking down the aisle, you can get to the altar right when he or she sings this part. And what are the comments that people say? Go ahead.
No, that was my song and you ruined it.
That Justin Bieber song was a secret between me and my fiance. I go, what? Justin Bieber is not an underground unknown entity, but people have gotten really upset with multiple crying face emojis.
Multiple
4, sometimes 5. I mean, that's
a lot.
It speaks volumes.
I will say, I don't know how serious they're being. There's no way to tell, honestly. Like, are they truly upset?
I did the Bieber one. There were so many comments like, you ruined my wedding by doing a TikTok on that song. I'm like, wait.
What? Yeah.
Do you know how to spread out all these people?
This brings us to this fact, right? The people at your wedding are most likely not as obsessed with wedding planning TikTok as you are.
Correct.
Okay.
That is a true statement.
They are going to go to your wedding and whatever it is, a song may be playing, the way you do your seating chart, whatever the thing that you have invested all this time and thought in, it's going to be lovely. And they're going to be impressed by it. I mean, honestly, right? Like,
yeah. And the only way, maybe you have a group of girlfriends, let's say, if I'm talking to a bride, that maybe you've all been to the Bieber concerts together, unless they're all engaged and getting married 6 months away from you. And maybe they like the song too, but maybe they want to use it in their wedding. I mean, who usually, and sometimes it's almost more isolating as a bride. They don't have anybody around them,
right,
that is getting married. And you're like, I would love to talk to somebody about this, but other than online, I know no one around me.
Yes.
I'm the first of my friends to get married. I'm the last of my friends to get married. I'm an only child. My cousins live somewhere else. Like, you don't have anybody around you, and they don't get it. That's usually the bigger problem. Is like, nobody understands what I'm going through. We understand. Don't we, Serena? We do understand. 100%. But don't sweat it if somebody highlights something on social media. Like, there's no way. I mean, once in a blue moon, I'll show up at a wedding. It happened a couple weeks ago where I was talking to the groomsmen about the introduction. I was tracking them all down during cocktail hour, and he was at the bar. And I go, hey, we're doing introductions in a few minutes. So when everyone else goes and sits down, stay at the bar. And I always say, I know, twist your arm, stay here at the bar because I'm going to line everybody up. And this girl pushes him out of the way and goes, oh, are you on TikTok? And I'm like, well, are you engaged? Because that's the only reason you would have know who I am. No one else here knows who I am, but she sure did. But it was, but that happens very infrequently. So yeah, the odds that someone's going to steal your song and then show up at your wedding. Well,
I will say, if you do have a sister or a really good friend or someone that you know who's getting married around the same time as you,
tell them that's my song.
Well, I mean, I have had brides who they check with each other, right? Because they don't want, that may be the one time when the same circle of people will be there. And if you're worried about that and you want to be cautious, that's fine. But as far as like the whole world of TikTok, like now using your song for something, I don't know. It's a funny thing that happens. And again, I don't know how serious people are or if they're just like kind of teasing us, but
You want to hear the worst?
what?
This is the worst. This is like, I have this small list of worst things that I've had to see people do. I was talking to a bride and and she said, well, we're going to get a band. And I go, oh, okay. And that band versus DJ comes up a lot in these conversations. And I go, oh, how come you're not? She goes, well, me and my fiance, we have a group of friends and we always go to this, we just have been together for years, the same group of friends. And there's this band we always go see. And we hired them for our wedding. And then her maid of honor hired them for her wedding a month before hers.
Yeah.
After she had already hired them, and it ruined their friendship, obviously. But I'm like, who does that? But anyway, she found me, she hired me, and I'm like, oh, well, we're gonna have a way better party anyway. So let her have the band, and then we'll have this great party, and they'll just be like, it was so much better than Stephanie's.
Yeah. Well,
like, that'll show her.
That's not about social media. That's about being a bad person. No, it was just
a story that popped in my head. I go, that's just but that is. I mean, all the years we've been doing it, that's like one of the worst I've heard. I'm like, ooh, yeah, why would you?
That's unfortunate.
She's no longer her friends, I don't think.
Yeah. And the other thing too is just like public service announcement, be nice. You know what I mean? Like as an underlying just rule of thumb.
This is a sore point for her.
This is a sore. I just, sometimes I go on social media and I see these things. And there's a way to like word stuff to say like, oh, I would have done something differently, or oh, maybe I don't know, but
that doesn't work for my family. I'm like, yep, great. It was merely a suggestion.
Yeah, because it's for most of us who create content for y'all to like put ideas out there. It is merely a suggestion, right? Like
but the barn door's wide open. Criticism comes in fast and furious and in abundance.
You got to be careful how you spell things. I mean, you got to be careful how you say things. Like
we're really like, we go through it. Like there's times between the two of us, like she'll suggest something. I'm like, ooh, no, look at this. And she'll be like, ooh, yeah, I didn't think about that. And then vice versa. But there's times where I'm like, how did they come to that conclusion based on what I said? But to my earlier point, it goes to everybody and anybody. I mean, you see some of these videos we have many tens of millions of views.
No.
Do we have one?
There is no video with tens of millions.
Yes, there is. We have that one with they stepped on the dress and it wasn't even on TikTok, but it went on Instagram. Isn't it like 30 million views?
38, yeah.
38. That's
okay,
ridiculous.
There's one.
So there you go. But that's rare. But I mean, to my point, how many people have seen that video? It's like it's dizzying when you try to wrap your head around how many some of the videos, and that just does. But people have seen, and so of course now it's every walk of life and everybody's background, and everybody's different. So they've all seen it. So it's like here comes the criticism.
And that brings me to the point of like, can you guys think about this? I want you out there to think about this. Think about doing your wedding before there was social media, right? Like just as a comparison factor, like in your head, like the fact that like any idea you came up with was like really your own idea. And like nobody knew, what other people were doing. There was no sharing videos.
I saw it in a magazine from this 1972.
But I'm curious if you guys want to comment or let us know. Do you think that would be like more or less stressful, right? Like, is it helpful to see what other people doing or get ideas, or would it be kind of nice to live in like ignorance about what else is going on in the wedding world?
The Johnsons, 2 caves down, what they did for their at their wedding,
like how long ago
they had like a Stone Age theme. Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the person, right? Some people love the ideas and they're able to filter through it, and other people it just gets overwhelming, which
it does.
Maybe depending on the day, depending on how much sleep you've had the night before. It could be a different time, but that's a good thing too. Like we talk about that too. If you get stressed out or something just really hits you the wrong way, take a step back from your wedding planning, like check out, put the binder on the shelf for a weekend.
Give yourself a break. I mean, uninstall your apps, like whatever you need to do. You can always reinstall them.
Okay.
But, just give your mind, your whole being a break from weddings, because it gets to be a lot. Now, I want to kind of shift gears a little bit. What does it mean for us as a business, like social media, like in the wedding world, right? It has been so different being a small business in the boom of social media, because as we're talking about like trends and wedding stuff in general, getting scrutinized, we get scrutinized as a business, right? No, absolutely.
Never.
And I think something that is two-sided too is it's super helpful for clients like brides and grooms to be able to see the different businesses and compare them online. But you also have to be really careful, like with what you put out there, and there's kind of some danger in that too, I think.
Yeah, we try to be really careful, like to not hate on a certain industry or to make sure we're not going to like set somebody else up for a hard conversation. But it always comes from a good place where we're trying to say, hey, here's something to look out for. Here's something that shouldn't have happened or whatever. But I mean, good luck with that. You're gonna offend somebody. One person loves it, the next person, how dare you? I'm like, what?
Absolutely.
What? How did you take it that way? What?
You have to what I've learned over the last couple of years of us doing content and, having a little bit of a microscopic amount of popularity online is that you have to have a little bit of a thick skin and realize that most of these people, probably 99% of them, would not say that to your face.
Oh, of course not.
Right. So they are only being that brave and that brazen because they're behind their phone.
Yes. It's a very cowardly way to approach something.
Yeah. But that's just us complaining.
I have one other thing on my notes that I want to talk about. And this is kind of how you can kind of ride the social media wave as opposed to fighting it. And that's when you're actually at the event. I did this. I've seen it done a couple of times. I didn't do it, but it was somebody suggested it, or maybe they saw it on TikTok. I did, but it's called a social media minute. And I can't tell you how many times I've made the announcement or the officiant goes up and says, put your phones away. We're having a be present. We have professional photographers. Don't get your phone either in the picture or just be present. Don't be on your phone trying to take a picture or video or whatever. But
during the ceremony.
It's hard for people and there's always somebody that says, oh, he didn't mean me. I can still take my picture. I'm her favorite aunt or whatever.
It's always somebody or multiple somebodies. Like people just don't hear it or don't care. I don't know what it is.
But if you really try to fight it and say no phones, put your phone away. Do not post during my wedding. I don't want everyone else in the world to see my wedding before I've seen it, which we are very aware of that. There's times I take a video and I send it to my wife. She goes, ooh, that's pretty. I go, don't post it. The room is nobody has seen the room yet. Right. If the bride follows us and she sees the room on our post before, God, I would be mortified. But so the thing is called a social media minute, meaning you process to the altar and your officiant says, who presents this person, blah, blah, blah. Maybe they do that thing. And then you get up front and they go, before we get started, I want these two that are about to get married to turn and face your crowd. Everybody get your phone out for the next minute. Take as many pictures as you want.
Right.
And then, okay, are we good? Put them away. And you've checked the block. And even people that would have that maybe really would have wanted to take a picture, but they're like, I'm not going to. I love her and him, and I'm not going to break the rules, but they still would love to get a picture, right?
Yes.
But you've told them not to. But then you're saying, oh, wait, you're letting me? Quick, snap, 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 get the picture, and then put it away.
And the other thing
really
it does,
kind of brilliant.
Because we've seen the sign kind of works, the announcement kind of works.
With some people, yeah.
Yeah. This really highlights it, makes it clear that you do not want the phones out except for this time, right? So it really works. It's a little more effective, I think, at keeping the phones at bay during the ceremony.
Dare I say it's let the baby have his bottle.
Right. Now, I will say that there is still the possibility that someone in your crowd, and you may know who this person is,
of course,
thinks that this does not apply to them and that they can still get video of your entire ceremony so that they can upload it right after you recess.
Looking at you, Karen.
So that is just something that I don't know how to help.
Well, even I think it's brilliant. I guarantee somebody out there is like, that is the worst idea ever because this is what we do. This is what people do. This is what happens. And it is. And that's merely my opinion and you are entitled to yours. But even after the announcement, I always see somebody pull their phone out. But I'll have to see the next time we do it to see just how many phones pop out after the social media minute.
And just like the private last dance that I mentioned earlier, was it really good idea and stuck? This might be one of those things, right? Because you see these things that come and go, they're popular for a couple months and then they fizzle out. But there are certain things that stick around for years to come and kind of become part of most weddings, which is kind of cool.
during the pandemic, we were like, "Are weddings going away? What's happening?" Like, it was really scary because we were all in on the wedding industry, and the pandemic was like rough for everybody, for every industry.
That was a switch in topics.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It was like I was going to say like, but weddings will not go away.
Weddings will not go away, and we are grateful for
love.
that.
It's all about love.
So we will end this episode.
Do you love love?
I do love love.
I love love too.
And I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
Oh,
Thanks.
good.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Talking about changing topics.
So one thing I want to mention that we mentioned last episode is that you can go to our website. We do lots of fun stuff over there. We've got our virtual one-on-one planning, our shop. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok. You can watch this. No, not this episode. Don't watch this episode on YouTube. Every other episode.
You can.
I'm not wearing makeup, so don't watch this
fabulous.
episode.
I don't know. I mean.
Oh, good. I'm glad you are feeling good today. But we'll end this episode by saying what we always say.
And it always seems like it pertains to every episode, right?
It really does.
It is a very personal day when you get married. So just do you. Don't let somebody talk you into something you don't want to do or talk you out of something you have your heart set on. It is absolutely your day.
You do you.
Let's blow kisses.
Happy wedding planning.
Aww. Hey, so thanks for listening to our podcast. If you found any of this information helpful and you know somebody who may be engaged or is a maid of honor, maybe you could tell them and share it with a friend.
Absolutely. So screenshot this episode, share it on Instagram, on Facebook, and tag The Wedding Duo. We promise to share the love back. Also, if you are interested in more resources or the show notes, you can go to theweddingduo.co. We have one-on-one virtual sessions, a shop, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out.